Hi, everybody. Okay, we are just going to be waiting for a couple more minutes to set everything up in here. Just give me a second here. So I just got me and Brian on the big screen, but now I got to figure out how to get us off the big screen when it's time for the presentation. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. So give me a second. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. I got it.
Cool.
All right. Hey, everybody. All right. So we have a full house. Check it out. All right. So let's see. Where is everybody coming from? We have Case and Jean, Andy, Rick. Hi, Julia. Hi, Mark. I can see you. Awesome. Hi, Jason. Missy is here. Oh, great. TK, Charlie. Oh, Mari is from Canada, it looks like. Very cool. I don't even know how to do a little Canadian flag like that. That's kind of cool. Hi, Kevin, Boo, and Eugene is from Wichita, Kansas. Noon, nice. Minnesota. Hi, Rick. Michigan. Noon is from Michigan, right? Am I Michigan? Upstate New York. Where from, Kevin? Which part of upstate New York are you from? I studied in upstate New York and I grew up a little bit upstate New York-ish, I guess you could say. Missy is from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nice. Peter's from Maryland, Connecticut. Cool. Look at all these people. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I'm nearby Albany. I went to Oneonta and I had a lot of friends that went to SUNY Albany. Ontario, Canada. There we go. New York City. I grew up in New York City as well. All right. Phoenix, Arizona. Nice. How is the weather there in Phoenix? I hear that it was a scorcher this summer. How is the
Yep.
weather?
Say
Actually, how
again?
is weather for you, Brian? How is it now?
It's been gorgeous lately. We had like 70 degrees over the weekend and getting down like in the 50s at night.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was literally warm, like almost summer warm here until like last week in Barcelona, literally, which is very, very unusual. And
Oh
today
yeah.
it's just perfect. Yeah, yesterday the weather just started to get absolutely beautiful and perfect. Oh, look at Mari with all the cool little stickers. Oh, here's John from Edinburgh, Scotland. Somebody from my side of the world now. Finally here, finally out of the triple digits. Yeah, fall is finally here. The triple digits. We had them pretty bad here in Barcelona. Absolutely. I think we've definitely hit some triple digits several times. And it's funny, everybody was like, you have to leave Barcelona in August. It's terrible. It's so hot. But July was pretty miserable. I was like, if people are complaining about August and July and it was crazy, I'm like, I don't even understand what August is going to be like. But we made it. We had air conditioning. We went to places where there was a lot of trees, so we had some nice shade. And
There
it's
you go.
trees basically. When there's no trees, it gets really hot, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's
Out
the
in the
main
sun, it's
issue.
plenty warm. Yeah.
What's that?
Out in the sun, it gets plenty warm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like scorching. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so very much for being here. We are super excited to have you join us. I am now going to flip on the presentation and we're going to just do a really quick introduction before we hop in. So, just a really quick thing, the chat box is going to be always open. And I love when you guys throw questions at us because the whole point of these presentations isn't simply for us to talk to you and just be, a one sided teaching thing. It's for the interaction. I always find that the most I guess impactful way to learn is when you do ask questions so that we could answer them for you. I always say trading is not a spectator sport, right? So the more you jump in, the more you'll actually get out of it. And I know a lot of times people get really shy and they're like, oh, my question's really stupid. But the thing is, if you have that question, it's almost 100% guaranteed that most of the other people will have that same question. So please don't be shy. Go for it. Ask the questions. We love them. And that's what we are here to do is answer them for you guys. Okay. So before we turn off our videos, we do want to do a quick intro. So today it's me and Brian. And Brian, please do a intro about yourself.
Well, I've been helping traders for about coming up on 18 years now. And my background is quality engineering. And so what allowed me to turn my trading around was my quality background, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's really where I was able to get a handle on the process of what I was doing and finally get that consistency that is so elusive for everybody. And that's what I teach mostly to traders, is that skill of being able to get the consistency that you're looking for, regardless of whatever strategy you use. And that's why it's cool that you and I are doing this webinar together, because you're bringing the strategies and your experience. I can help bring the consistency side if that's what people are struggling with. And between the two of us, yeah, it's a pretty solid thing. So, but let's go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah, consistency I find to be probably the most important thing, basically in anything we do in life. But I think with trading specifically, because if you aren't consistent, you simply are just kind of rolling the dice, right? So consistency is so key. So that is definitely what we're going to be talking about today, because the consistency begins once you have that strategy. So that's what I want to talk to you about. And Brian really focuses in on how to maintain that consistency. So this is going to be a really cool presentation for both. So I'm going to just turn myself off right now as far as the video so that you guys could focus presentation. And I will be now doing the bulk of the presentation, and then me and Brian will again get into it towards the end and getting more into detail as well. However, Brian and I are here the whole time. So again, any questions, please ask all away. And all right, let's begin. So here we go. I am Marina, the trader chick. You've already met Brian. I am going to do a little bit more of a formal introduction a little bit later on, because right now I just want to start to talk about getting the whole presentation is kind of around getting over yourself and having fun in day trading, right? And I like to focus on the four basic strategies, which once you are more consistent with, that's when it becomes really, really powerful overall, right?
Mhm.
Actually, hang on a second here. I do want to, so you guys could see how, yeah, so you guys could see how passionate I am when I do the presentation. I think that would be actually a little bit more fun, because I am so passionate about this topic and simply about trading and just overall. So before we jump in, I do have a question for you guys. Who here, who is right now in this room, who has fun while trading? I would love to know that. Who here has fun while trading? Because this is something that I think we overlook and don't actually get into the idea of the fact that, are we even having fun doing this? So let me know, guys. Do you guys have fun when you sit down and trade, open up your charts? Is it a fun experience? Yeah, so this
Well,
is super important, right? Sorry, Brian, what did you want to say?
Well, I was going to say it might be easier rather than yes or no's. Go ahead and put in there on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you're just having the time of your life, and one, it just life sucks when you're trading. Go ahead and put in the chat where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, and for now, while you guys are doing that, I'm also seeing that a lot of people are saying I used to or not really. Yeah, so it's important to be, so I'm finding that a lot of times for people, we all come in with this intention of trading as like a freedom lifestyle, right? And then we lose that joy out of it, right? Because it becomes kind of hard for us. So I want to give you a comparison of something that maybe will make you see things a little bit differently and start to give you that joy as well. Mari, what made you choose to trade futures? We will get to those questions at the end, Mari. Okay. So I would like to, for instance, here's my other question. Okay. Actually, here's my other question. And just go with me, because I can guarantee you guys are going to see the connection. How many of you guys actually drive or have been in a car? I know you'll probably be like, of course, everybody drives, everybody's been in a car. But just go with me. First of all, I live in the city now, and it's really amazing the amount of people that don't drive. And they're very proud of not driving. It really breaks that belief that we all have to drive. So, but I think at one point or another, everybody has been in a car. Did you guys know that there are gazillions of accidents every year? Car accidents every year, right? And I'm not being morbid, but the thing is that even knowing those odds when we are driving or getting into the car, yet we still get into our cars every single day and we put on music, we listen to music, we have fun driving, right? Either on your own or with your kids. We're still enjoying. And I know that we have been, we text. Unfortunately, I catch my husband doing it quite a lot. But we do, unfortunately, and we do get distracted in cars. And unfortunately, that's how it is. And I used to live in Guatemala. I lived in Guatemala for 14 years. And it was you could do whatever you want in Guatemala. There was no law. And this is truly how we used to get around. And sometimes with my puppy with us, or you know what I mean? So here's the other question I want to ask you. How many of you guys have lost money in the markets? And don't be shy because all of us here have lost money. Okay, I think it's kind of like just the way it goes when it comes to losing money. And I personally have lost a ton. I did. I'm not going to deny it. In the beginning, I was on a consistent losing streak simply because I didn't know what I was doing, right? But the reality was that I'm still here, right? I get to hug my kids every day. I go out my husband. We get to travel. We get to do things, right? So why is it that when we get into the car where there's a real chance of a life injury or even worse, a fatality, we can still have fun, right? But when we trade, and the worst possibility is that we lose some money, we take it so much more deadly serious and we tend to lose the fun out of it. Okay, I really want you guys to get that in your heads because I think when you see that comparison, it lightens up the actual activity. But don't get me wrong, you cannot get into a car and simply wing it, right? You do need to know how to drive a car, right? I mean, you need to understand where's the steering wheel, how to shift gears, how to press on the accelerator, how to press on the brakes. You need to know this, right? I'm not talking about just blindly getting in the car and just accidentally magically getting the car started and going. I mean, that is just a kamikaze mission. But you do know what you're doing, right? Because you have the basics of driving, right? So trading is so much like driving, but without that crazy risk that is involved, right? That's the thing with trading is that you don't have the basics. So when you do know the basics of driving, of trading, you will not end up crashing your car or you will not end up losing as much. And after years of learning what other people's strategies and following their trade setups without having any idea why I was taking certain trades, or in other words, never truly learning how to drive my own car or read my own charts, what was happening to me was that I was losing until I lost big time, until I ended up truly losing big time. And I actually even remember it so vividly because it was right around Semana Santa, which is around Easter week, around 8 or 9 years ago. And I was losing money. I wasn't doing well. I didn't have a good strategy, and I ended up losing almost $4,000 within 5 minutes. Why? I was sitting in some chat room where today now I know that it wasn't even like the actual people who were teaching the chat, who were holding the chat room. They were just some moderators, some administrators that didn't know how to trade, but they were sitting in there. They're like, oh, this looks like a good trade. And at this point, I was believing that it was supposed to be a good trade. I didn't see it where, but I'm like, I'm already here. Like, if everybody else is saying it's a good trade, I started to chase that trade. The second you chase a trade, that's an emotional bad behavior. Once I started to chase that trade, of course, it started to go the wrong way. I wouldn't permit myself because my ego was too strong to permit myself to accept that it was going the wrong way. And boom, I ended up losing that trade. And I literally ended up blowing my entire account. And this was like the third time in 2 months. And did I end up stopping after that? No. You know what I ended up doing? I revenge traded for another 2 more days, which ended up costing me almost another $2,000. And that's literally when I stopped, right? So in car terminology, I totaled my car more than 2 times. And that is literally when I had a full on breakdown, zero pun intended. So I remember, at that point, my office was in my bedroom, and I was trading. And again, all this just happened, and I just felt so defeated. I felt like this was it. Like, such a loser. I've already put in more than 2 years of trying to figure out how to do this. And I just laid on my floor with my head down on the ground, and my husband was standing over me, and he was telling me, he was like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? First of all, to yourself. Secondly, to us, to our family, because it was our money that I was constantly losing." And when you have a breakdown, usually you are facing two very specific decisions that you have to make, right? One is you quit. You never trade again. In this point, you never, in this case, I never trade again. Or you have a breakthrough, right? Usually when you have a breakdown, that's kind of what happens is you walk away from the thing that's giving you the breakdown, or somehow in that chaos, in that breakdown, in that, rock bottom, you have a breakthrough. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen this movie, Nacho Libre. If you have, first of all, it's such a very cute movie. It's totally family friendly. If you guys have not seen it, I'm just going to give you a really cute little explanation of why I related so much to Nacho. So Nacho is this main character who wants to be a luchador. He wants to be, in Mexico, they have it, these lucha libres, which is literally the equivalent of our wrestling, and he wants to be a wrestler, and he's terrible. He is so bad at it. And there's this one part in the movie where he's standing in the church, he's praying, he's like, "Lord, why did you give me such a strong passion to be a fighter and made me such a lousy warrior?" And I just felt in that moment that I'm so passionate. Like, what happened? Why is it I have this passion? I just feel like I'm constantly hitting brick walls. And of course, the movie turns around. He has this amazing match. He wins and becomes, the greatest luchador. I didn't technically become the greatest trader, but I did have a total breakthrough. I did quit though. I'm not going to deny it. I quit for about 3 or 4 months. But if any of you know about trading, if you quit, like, there's this itch that keeps on wanting, that just doesn't stop itching, right? Because we know deep down inside that we can do this. And that's literally what happened to me. And I had this breakthrough. And what happened was, during my time off, first of all, I was able to emotionally step away. And secondly, I started to realize why I was failing and why I was having so many problems. The thing is that a lot of times, I spent over $20,000 on my own education, my own, like, getting into all these academies. And a lot of the times, what I recognized was that nobody taught you the basics. Nobody begins with the basics. I kind of want to give it the same analogy as, if, for instance, your child wants to learn how to play a musical instrument, and you sign them up to go to the conservatory. And when they arrive to the conservatory, instead of doing, the very first beginner, how to hold a flute, how to blow into the flute, they get thrown into the symphonic pit and are expected to keep up with, professional musicians. And I feel like a lot of these schools and academies, I think that feel like that's what they do to you. And whenever I used to ask super basic questions, can you please explain to me what is the divergence? Can you please explain to me what is a support area? I don't understand this area. I was always either ignored, or I was treated as if though I was born with this information, to the point that I recognized that I never actually learned the basics. And that's what I decided. So to me, the basics is kind of like building that wall, so that when I start to put in my trades, it's like those windows, right? You cannot put in a window without a wall. And what we're taught a lot of times is to, these trades, because, it's the sexy thing to do, is to sell you these like overhyped winning trades and this and that, but never teach you how it's done. And that's something that I was that I realized that I was never taught how to build my wall. And that's what I ended up doing. So I came back and I decided to just strip my charts entirely of all over there indicators, and it was just bare naked charts, literally. And I also, one thing did have was that I had three monitors, and I ended up literally donating pretty much these high definition monitors to the garbage men. Basically, I just put them out to get rid of it because I was in constant analysis paralysis. And that's when I just started to focus on the one chart and really studying the basics. And when I started to study those basics, everything started to come together. And what I started to do was I became fluent in the market language. And that's something that a lot of times we don't realize, but the market actually speaks to us. It speaks to us in a language. And I started to read it and started to listen to it. And that changed everything for me. So now I'm going to do a really fun, quick intro of who I am. So I am, oops, sorry, hang on a second. I am Marina, the trader chick. I actually, this was for some reason, this old slide did not change, but I am now living in Barcelona. We actually just moved to Barcelona 6 months ago. I have it in the new slides, and I guess the software did not put in the new slides correctly. But I am now living in Barcelona. I've been an expat for over 20 years now. We are in Spain, and it's been one of the best decisions so far, by bar none. And before I was a day trader, I was a fitness instructor and a travel writer. And the main reason I talk about this a lot is because a lot of people believe that they have to come from a math background or a financial background or an economic background, and you don't, right? That's the beauty of trading, is that you can literally do it coming from any background. That's the beauty of trading, that anybody could do it, right? And that's the coolest thing of all. And I am trilingual. And the only reason I truly bring up that I'm trilingual is because I believe that the market does have its own language. And I think I was able to recognize that because I was able to learn a new language in my later years. I was born in the Soviet Union, so Russian is my mother tongue. But because I was raised in the United States since I was a tiny little kid, I didn't actually learn English as much as I just continued learning how to speak, period. So I just kind of flowed into a new language because I was fluent in English within 2 or 3 months. However, I learned Spanish in my late 20s. And if anybody has ever learned a new language, it's a process, right? Like there's this commitment, there's a consistency that goes with it. And it's, you need to practice, you need to have somebody to work with, you need to take your time. You cannot just enter, just because I want to speak Spanish, I'm not going to enter a room full of only Spanish speaking native speakers and try to get into their conversation. That's silly. It's impossible, right? I need to first learn, hola, mi nombre es, ¿cómo estás? You need to understand the basics of the language. And a lot of times, we overlook that part when we start to trade, right? Or even work with the financial markets, because it is a language that we learn. And once I recognized that it's a language, I started to treat my trading as such, and it changed everything for me. And now that whenever I talk about that, people are like, that's right. If I look at it from that perspective, it just starts to make a lot more sense to me. And then I start to listen to the market rather than ignore it. I've been featured on, before COVID, I did quite a lot of the Money Show. I did in person Trade Expo. I did quite a lot of in person as well. And now, obviously, I prefer much more to be online because this way I could do it from anywhere. You guys could join me from anywhere. And that's the coolest part of all. So let's jump in. What are the basics of trading? Because you can have just as much fun in trading as when you get into your car to go on a really cool adventure and a road trip, right? I mean, every time we hear the word road trip, it just makes us think of fun, adventure times. And you could have that sense every time you sit in front of the charts as well, because it's this confidence that comes with it, right? It's like you get into a car, you don't have to worry. Somebody tells you, where's the steering wheel, where's the gear shifts. You have it right there because it's your automatic go-tos at this point. And you could have that as well with the trading in four basic strategies, which I'm going to be talking about today. And that is a really great way to kind of give you that automatic sense of understanding and for you to be able to then truly grow and have fun in trading. But just as when you drive a car, you literally have to be in a car to be able to drive it, right? With trading, you need to have a charting platform. Okay. A lot of times people who want to be trading are on their little apps of Robinhood or like some of these other apps on their phone. And their apps, they're not real, right? To be able to, it's kind of like wanting to be a Formula One driver and you show up in a minivan. You have to have the proper vehicle for what you want to do. And when you're a day trader, there's so much movement. You need to have good software. And that is probably the only real software that you will need to become a really good, accomplished trader. Okay. And you'll be able to add your indicators from that software. Good softwares, they usually have universal indicators that come with the software. You do not need to be buying new software, new indicators. They usually come already equipped with it. I personally today only use two indicators. I use EMA lines and my MACDs. And that's it. I like to keep it super simple because in the simplicity is where magic truly happens. And you don't go into that constant analysis paralysis overload, which happens. It happens a lot. Okay. So for me, the MACDs personally, they are they it's like my holy grail, right? Because it's one of the least lagging indicators out there. And I apply that with my EMAs, but I will get into that in just a few minutes. So, what does your trade station look like? Have you ever actually considered it? Because a lot of times people get caught up in this new shiny object syndrome. It is an actual syndrome, by the way, like wanting to get the latest software, like wanting to get the latest indicator, wanting to get the newest algorithm, because this is what ends up happening. And let me tell you, this is pure analysis paralysis. And I know that this is almost like a cliche of when people talk about day trading, but this is probably one of the least sustainable ways to trade. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this one really funny show. It's not even aired anymore, but you could stream it. It was called The King of Queens, and it's this really cute show. And the main character ended up buying like a 96-inch TV, and he put it into this TV room. And this is before streaming and before like all these other things that we have now. They had direct TV, and direct TV at one point had like 1,100 channels. And him and his buddies are sitting in this TV room, and he's constantly flipping the channel every like 10 seconds. And one of his friends, he's like, "Stop, you're going to trigger my epilepsy." This looking at this setup, I feel like that character, stop, you're going to trigger my epilepsy. We cannot sustain this much information. It is humanly impossible. I today have literally chart one chart, because also we travel. My family and I travel 3 to 4 months out of the year. Just because I'm traveling, I'm not going to stop. I mean, I would love to be on that level. I mean, I can sometimes, but I do like to bring my computer. I do like to sit and open my charts once in a while. And I can do that from anywhere in the world. And there's zero excuse, guys, today. A lot of people are like, "Oh, how's your internet?" Look, when I lived in Guatemala, we had slow internet, never had a problem with the trading. I remember visiting my parents in Manhattan where the internet was spotty. It was on and off. So there's no more excuse, right? Internet is good everywhere. You could trade from everywhere. That is literally the beauty of the internet and trading, right? So I use one chart because I like to keep it simple, and that makes it a lot more profitable and fun for me. Now, I want you guys to make sure that you stay until the end because me and Brian have a really great bonus for you guys. So make sure that you are staying until the end to hear all about the cool bonus stuff. So let's begin. Let's begin with the basics, right? Because sometimes, and I can guarantee you right this second, whoever is saying in their head, oh, I know the basics, that's your ego telling you. And that's when you have to override that ego and be like, wait, I want to learn. I'm opening my mind up to hear it all because that's when magic truly, truly happens. So, the beginning, the market breakdown, and understanding the different markets and trends. So, we all know logistically that there are three trends, right? We have the upward trend, we have the downward trend, and logistically, we understand that there is a sideways trend, right? But the sideways trend, guys, this is going to be the most important trend that you need to understand because I can guarantee you, if you go and look at your backlogs of your trading, back of the your journals to seeing where you have lost the majority of your money, I can guarantee that it is from from the sideways trend. Why? Because this is the indecision zone. This is the exhaustion pattern. This is the chop. This is the sideways market. This is the transition. This is the consolidation. This is the dead zone. Whatever you want to call it, the bottom line is there is absolutely no movement there. It is complete uncertainty. And you need to understand where it happens and to be able to understand when to stay out of it. And that is what we're going to be talking about for two main reasons. One, to save you guys a lot of money, and two, to know when to get in to make the most amount of money. So that is literally what we're going to be talking about. So the trending markets, right? We have this downward trend, sideways trend, and upward trends. Now, let's just do a really quick. What is an upward trend? It's literally when each pivot is higher than the next. That's what it is, right? Each pivot is moving higher than the next. This is called the bull market. This is called the market trending up, market going up, whatever you want to call it. This is where you are looking to enter long. This is where you are buying. And so basically, to make it super simple, you're entering at a lower price point, exiting at a higher price point, and taking the profit in between. You are going long. So whenever you hear anybody talking about I'm in it for the I taking a long, I'm in a long position, I'm buying, that's what that means, right? You're buying, you're low, entering low, exiting high, taking the profit in between. Now, what is the downward trend? It's the mirror image. Obviously, it is when the market is trending down. Each pivot is lower than the other. Day traders would probably make more money on the down than on the up a lot of times. So you need to really understand how this works because it's all about technical analysis, right? So the downward trend. This is where you are entering a short when you are selling. So whenever you hear people talking about selling or you're shorting the market, it's not a more aggressive tactic at all. Because if your technical analysis is telling you to go for a short, that's what you do. So what is a short? Super simple. You're entering high, exiting low, and you're taking all that profit in between. And if you get into this emotional headspace of, well, somebody's losing when I'm entering here, then other people are losing. Who are those people? Who cares about those people? They don't care about you, right? So don't think of that because all we do, our job as a trader is to understand the technical analysis. And if the market is showing us that this is a good time for a short, that's when we enter the short. That is when we go for the short. That is where we sell. Okay, that is truly that's what is important. It's when the market is trending down, where we are in a bear market. Okay, so let's really jump in to understanding these areas. These are the consolidation areas, the transition areas. I literally call this the trader's worst enemy. And when we learn how to spot them and know how to avoid them, that's when we truly start to become successful. All right. So, what is a consolidation? A consolidation is a slowdown, right? It's when the market isn't really sure what it wants to do. Okay. So, a good example for you guys to understand how trends work, it's like this. Imagine you want to go jogging. All right. You are 100% all in. You are ready. You're putting on your jogging clothes. You're putting on your jogging shoes. You're out the door. You are full of energy. You are ready. That's a trend going. It's a powerful trend. But then all of a sudden, your shoe unties and you slow down. You want to get some water. Oh, it's too hot. You're not really sure what you want to do. And you're kind of like in that indecision area, right? That's that zone. Would I want to put money on you to continuing your job when you're in that area? Chances are no, because you're not even sure what you want to do, right? So that's that zone, right? But then you might be pop in a energy gel, or you decide, forget it, I want to go home. So that will be like that next step. But the consolidation area is when you're tired, you're indecisive, you're not really sure, you've lost that zest for continuation, right? So what happens with traders? So trading on a whole is a very emotional activity, right? It's a very emotional activity. So I'm going to break down for you what I mean by an emotional activity. It's stories. We tell ourselves nonsense stories. So if you don't understand what I mean by stories, here's a good example. Imagine you just met somebody new, right? It could be maybe somebody that you are interested in becoming your intimate partner, or a new friend, or a new business partner, whatever. And you really hit it off and you guys are really having a great time. And that person's like, hey, I'm having a party, or I'm having a get together in 2 days. Do you want to come to the And you're like, yeah, for sure. You really like this person. So then you guys say goodbye. They have your phone number. You go home. The next day comes along and they never write you. They never call you. So what starts to happen in your heads? And this happens to every single human in the entire world. If you pretend that it doesn't happen to you, you're also telling yourself another story. So the stories that start to happen to us are, did I say something wrong? Did they change their minds? Maybe they don't really like me. What did I do? Maybe they met somebody else. Normally, the stories are always a negative story. I don't know why that's the case, but for some reason, it is the case that it's a negative story. So the day after that, they call you up and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. My phone fell in the toilet and I lost everybody's contact. So all those stories that you were, suffering through because you were making yourself feel crappy weren't real. None of them were real, right? So this is what happens when we are trading. We tell ourselves a lot of unreal stories. And when we are looking at a market that looks like this, here are the regular stories that go through our heads. First and foremost, you have to understand that there are only two types of traders in the world. There are millions of traders, but they each one of them falls into one or the other one of these two categories. One of them is the trend is your friend trader, right? So when they're looking at this particular market where it's trending really strongly up and then it goes flatline, they're telling themselves their story. You know what? The market's been trending all day. It's going to continue. I'm going to go for a long. I'm going to continue with a long, and they're going to be putting in that trade for that long because that's what they're seeing or thinking, right? Or telling themselves that story. And the other trader is the contrarian trader. They're looking at this market. They're like, you know what? The market's been going up this whole time. It's got to correct. I'm going to short the market. Both of those are completely just stories. Neither one of them is real because what we have to do is understand the language. And what is the market telling us? That it's not doing anything. It's literally telling us, sit out, don't put your money in until I decide what we need to do. That's what the consolidation areas are. That's what those transition areas, the chops, the exhaustion patterns, that's what they're telling us to sit out. And even today, like I so many people who come to want to work with me and study, and they're like, should I get in when it's like this? I always say no. This is the place where you have to really, really use the most amount of energy to stay out because staying out is really complicated, right? So interesting enough, again, I love to do analogies, especially of really good shows or movies. I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched The Crown on Netflix. It's a phenomenal show. And there's this one part where Queen Elizabeth becomes queen. And she's sitting in the room with her mother, the queen mother, and she knows, well, there's so much that she wants to do. And her queen mother, the queen mother is like, the most important action that you are going to have to take, and it's going to be the hardest action for you to take, is the action of not doing anything. Because we have this misconception with trading that we constantly have to do something. The hardest action is going to be to not do anything, and especially in areas like this. This is what a pro trader does. When they see areas like this, they use more energy probably to not put anything into the market than when they actually put stuff in the market. I know it sounds kind of like a contrarian way of thinking, but it's the way it really works. Okay. So when we are seeing these kinds of movements, this consolidation area, we don't know what's going to be the next move. We have to sit through it and just wait until the market tells us what it's going to do. And that's what I'm going to show you in a little bit, exactly how to read the next moves and also how to spot these areas, right? And they could be tiny, like right here. This is a small consolidation, but if you're a scalper, as I am, I like to go for really quick, fast trades. This is what it could really stop me out, right? So understanding and seeing these areas really will make all the difference in the world. Okay. So we have to understand when they happen. We have to beware of these sideways markets because it does take all of your money. So let's focus on how do we spot these areas? How do we know when these areas happen? How do we mark them? Look, the market uses areas, right? There are areas in the market, and those two main areas are support and resistance, and they are so important. And the market respects them, and we, as individual retail traders, we need to respect them as well. So for me, the way I like to look at support and resistance areas is safety zones. I just again I mentioned earlier Formula One racing, because Formula One racing, we all could truly visualize it, even if you like it or don't like it, it doesn't matter. We all know exactly what it's about. It's people driving, these crazy little cars at 200-300 kilometers an hour around crazy turns, right? So it is a known fact that during racing season, 25% of the racing of the racers get into an accident or have a fatality. So when they enter their car, do you think they're just going to hop in and go? No. They have a helmet on. They have a fireproof uniform on. They have several seatbelts, right? 95% of people who want to trade fail because they don't put on any seatbelts at all. Okay. Support and resistance areas to me are like seatbelts. When we start to recognize and draw them in, we protect ourselves because the market respects areas. And even if it looks like it's about to break through that area, don't touch it until it does break through that area. It is so important to respect these areas and to understand them. And I'm not talking about mental areas. You need to draw them in. Any charting software has drawing tools. Okay. And you could use those drawing tools to draw them in, because as the saying goes for trading, everything is to the left. When you are in a live trade in the live market with your real live money, you are probably going through the same adrenaline as a Formula One racer. Like your heart is pumping. So when you're looking to the left and you have those areas drawn in, you are understanding what is actually happening. You are able to save yourself and understand where that area is. So that is so important. So let's really just break it down. What exactly is a resistance area? What is a resistance area? It is the ceiling of the market. So let's say the market is trending up and it starts to hit an area 3 or 4 or more times. That's when we have to draw it in. That's a resistance area. And until it completely breaks through or fully goes the opposite way, we don't want to go into that market because it's not safe, because it could stop us out, because the market revisits areas over and over again. And it could easily bounce off, go straight, and go in the opposite direction. And if you're in that trade, you won't even have seconds to realize that you were already stopped out. So the best thing to do is to wait until it breaks through to give you that extra confirmation. Okay, that's a resistance area. What is a support area? It is when the market is trending down and is hitting over and over and over again the floor of the market. Again, you need to draw that in, guys. You need to draw it in because you're protecting yourselves. You're immediately putting on that seatbelt. You know that it's not going to cross through there. And when it does, you are ready to go, right? It's kind of like thinking like a crash test dummy. They could sometimes go 150 miles an hour and boom, they hit that wall. That support resistance area can be that wall. You don't want to be in that wall, right? You want to wait until it is a safe space to go. Okay, then you have the channels. You have the resistance and support area on both ends because this is where that indecision zone is popping around. And when you have it marked off, there's no doubt that this was not a good area for you to get into because there is no direction. Do you really want to put your money into this place right now? There's nowhere to go, there's no direction. I don't know where the market is going. I don't want to be putting my hard earned money into a market that I am not certain of, right? I want to be in a very certain market. Look at this. Even though it's a wider channel, it's still completely uncertain. It's bouncing between these two areas. The choppiness of it is too much. Okay. And you need to recognize these areas so that you can truly protect yourself. Now, how do we spot these areas in the beginning? Right? Because a lot of times people are like, well, sometimes it's too late and I've already lost money. So it's understandable if you're in the very first one. I get it. But if you're constantly going in more and more, first of all, you are already an emotionally, you're not in the proper headspace anymore because now you're in the emotional space and now you're revenge trading. But the very first one, it was a valid trade. Okay, something's up. Let's see. Go get back out of it. You know, you kind of lick your wounds, but why? So now you have to start to recognize and read those signs because amazingly enough, the market, like I mentioned earlier, it speaks to us and it speaks to us loudly and clearly. And that's the beauty of the market. Okay, so what does it tell us? There are reversal areas and divergences. And the beauty of this is that you could have this on any chart, any market, and it's totally free. You do not need to buy for any of this. It is just seeing these two different things happening. And when I show people how to do this, because it's so simple and so in your face, they have like these biggest aha moments because sometimes something that is so in front of you is easiest to ignore, right? So we're going to be talking about reversal patterns and divergences. And I have to say, this is probably the ones that I use absolute most. What is a reversal pattern? It's those double tops. It's those double bottoms. It's those triple tops, triple bottoms, right? I am hearing a funny sound here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Somebody raising their hand. Yeah.
Somebody rose their hands. Okay, so and the head and shoulders, right? So when you are spotting the reversal patterns, I'm going to go into it just in a second a little bit more. It's really important to understand how to spot them. And once you spot them, you are going to be really loving this. And when you couple it with divergence. So what is divergence? As I mentioned earlier, I use the MACDs as my holy grail. I love them, but I know a lot of people use the RSI as well. And there's a few other indicators that people use. So for me, the MACDs are amazing. Why? Because the MACDs I find to be the least lagging. So if my price action, my chart is going in one direction and my MACDs are starting to go in the other direction, what is that telling me? Is it telling me it's about to go on a new trend? No, but it is telling me that the trend that I'm looking at is starting to lose its strength. And I don't want to be in a market that is starting to get weaker, right? I want to save my money for when the market is in its most strongest movement, because that is the most amount of probability that I will be gaining money. Now, when I have a reversal pattern, what does that mean? So in this case, again, we are seeing the full chart, but really in the beginning, it's we're going to just spot a double top and then it goes into a triple top. So does this mean that the market is going to reverse and I have to go in for a reversal trade? No, absolutely not. Why? Because this is a, a potential for a reversal. What it is telling you is that it is the beginning of an area. And we need to get out because the market is losing its strength. And we don't ever want to be in a market that is losing its strength. Now, when you could do it, the divergence and the reversals together, and when you have that, that is even more potent because it's really screaming at you, stop everything, wait, I am losing strength. I'm not sure where I'm going to go. Just give it a few minutes to see what I decide. That is literally what the market is telling you. And we have to read it. We have to work with the market because that is our job. Okay. To see those divergences. Okay. To understand when those divergences, when those reversals are happening, because it is literally telling us stop right now. This is dying. The trend is dying, all of this good stuff. We need to understand. Now, I want to put all of this together, right? Because it's one thing understanding it one little bit piece at a time, kind of like each Lego are separate. Now it's time to put those Legos together. So let's put it all together. We all know that a breakout is probably the most powerful trade you could take, right? It's also probably the most popular trade because it's the easiest one to spot when you have done all the work, right? When you have drawn in your areas, when you understand when the breakthrough happens, all that good stuff, right? So, what exactly is a breakout trade? I'm going to go back to the analogy that I did with the consolidation of like that slowdown about losing your strength when you're or losing your, I guess, interest when you are jogging. But I'm going to do it in a little bit of a different kind of analogy. Imagine you are living all the way at the very bottom of this chart, right? The very south. And your best friend or your sister or your brother lives at the very top. And they call you up, and you've been to their house a million times. They call you up. They're like, you know what? I'm having a party. Why don't you come on over? Let's have a barbecue. You hop in your car. You are so excited to go because you've been there so much time. You're really confident, you know. But all of a sudden, there's this big sign in the highway and it's a construction zone. And these construction workers are telling you, detour, you got to get up the road, construction area. And it's this area, right? Whenever I get off into a construction zone, first of all, my Google Maps and Waze has not caught up. It keeps on sending me back to the highway. Obviously, the highway is closed. So now I'm stressing out. But then I'm worried, are they going to continue with the detour signs? Because a lot of times they start good and then they forget because they just don't care. So I'm having all these stressful thoughts, all these doubts. That's the consolidation area. That's the area that you do not want to be putting money into. But then all of a sudden, the construction worker says, all right, guys, the road is back open. The highway is back open. Come on up, get back on the highway. And then, boom, you hop on the highway and you go. That is that breakout zone, right? You are continuing in the same direction to your friend's house with all that confidence and energy. That is the breakout trade. Okay. You're driving, construction zone. Oh my goodness, where am I going? I don't understand where I'm going. Boom, you break through and you are headed the same way. That is the breakout setup. Now, how do I do that? So whenever I use my indicators, because that's what I do, I use my indicators to tell me when to enter. So I've had this resistance area, and as you can see, my MACDs, you can look at my MACDs below. So the dotted line, that is zero. That shows me that there is zero energy or strength in the market, right? And as you can see, the red dots, there are some areas that it's really weak, and it's right there in between those brown lines. Those brown lines keep me kind of really anything between the brown lines. I know it's kind of slow, it's not that much energy, but then all of a sudden, boom, it breaks out. There's absolutely no divergence, and I enter the market because I use my EMA lines to enter the market. I use I use my EMA lines kind of like an archer uses the lines where to shoot their arrows from, right? You've never when if you look at an archery competition, none of the archers are just walking around aimlessly and just throwing arrows. They have a very specific spot to take that shot from. It's the same thing with trading. You have to tell the market where you're entering. That's called an order waiting, right? Or a limit order. You're putting it in. You're letting the market know I only want to enter at this price, and if it doesn't fill me there, I'm okay. I don't need to be filled otherwise. Okay. Another bonus trade that I want to share with you guys, and I call this that initial reaction trade setup. And this goes back to that jogging metaphor that I was using before. Because when you exit that house, when you are full of energy and inspiration and motivation, that is going to be the part where if I'm going to be putting money on your jog, it would be usually like once you ran out the door, because I know that chances are you will hit that first mile marker. A new trend is the same thing. In the beginning, it is when it is the strongest. And the closest to the beginning of that trend you want to get in, the more chance you will have of making a really good profit, right? So that's what we need to look at. Now, like I mentioned earlier, please stay until the very end because we have a really cool bonus for you. So I want to now go in and share the more I want to show you my charts and kind of what I do with the charts. So hang on just 1 second here. Okay, so here are my charts. Okay, so this is my charting software here. You guys could use, there are so many really powerful charting softwares out there. And if you have questions about that, I'm happy to tell you. I have literally been now trading for over almost 12 years. I have seen when I first began, it was maybe like two or three charting platforms. Today there's like 30. So as I mentioned, every charting software has a drawing tool, right? I have these in my hotkeys, but for instance, here is that drawing tools. You have all of these that you could draw with, all these different things you could use. So this is how it's moving, right? I personally trade the ES Mini, which is the S&P 500 index on the futures market. So this is a futures market. I personally prefer the futures market because you don't need to be putting up or investing that much money. You could start with just $50 per trade, right? Per contract. So that makes it very reasonable for people to begin with a small account. I absolutely love that for that specific reason is that you can, and you don't have to have a big risk. You could risk only $50 as well. That's the beauty of it, right? So here we have a pretty significant understanding that this is a downward trend. And then all of a sudden, boom, it flattens out. This happens very common, right? It's kind of like you're urban running, right? Like you're in the city, you're running, oh, red light, boom, boom, boom. You're just kind of standing on place until you continue on and so forth, right? So that's what happens a lot when you see like these mini slowdowns, right? I call them interim areas as well. So here we have this movement. I personally do not use 1 or 2 or 5 minute charts. I personally prefer to use tick charts. So what are tick charts? You can see right here, each candlestick, right here, you have ticks remaining. So each candlestick has 610 ticks. What those ticks are transactions. So I am looking at the real time of what is happening right now in the moment in the live market, the amount of transactions per bar. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is the volatility. Is it moving fast enough? Is there enough movement, volume? And I see that right from my own candlesticks because the volume indicator is considered to be one of the most lagging indicators out there. So I like to see if there's a lot of volume, because if there's a lot of volatility, that's when it's really fun and the market moves really well. But when it's really slow and there's not a lot of volatility, I prefer not to do that, right? So that's pretty much what is happening right here. So right now we are in an obvious channel, right? It's not really going anywhere at all. Ooh, what did I just do? Oh, it was weird. Okay. Oh, I know what I did. So here we go, right? We are in this channel, and now I'm curious to see, will it break through? Because I am not making any predictions at all. What I am doing right now, though, is I am waiting to see. The way I like to see, so it's starting to break through, but for me, a real breakthrough would be my purple EMA line, which is the 20 EMA line, breaks through as well. Because sometimes what happens is that it doesn't fully break through, and it's called a phobo, right? It could break through, but I don't have this going on yet. And phobo is a fake out breakout. Just because it gives me a lot of strength, I'm still not fully trusting it. Okay, until I see this breakthrough entirely through the area. And this is how I am a very conservative trader, because I prefer to be really cautious with the money I am putting into the market. And this to me looks like a massive fake out breakout, right? It just flew up, flew down. It's not something that I am interested in at all. Even if the MACDs are big here, look at that. I just saved myself money, right? Because I trusted in my system and I knew that this was going to be a fake out breakout. Okay. I did not get in, and it's now back in that channel. So this is how I personally work with the market. This is how I read the market. This is how I understand. And this is what I teach as well, specifically this. Okay. Okay. Hang on a second. So I have an actual question for you guys again. So, what do you guys struggle with? Do you guys have your own trading plan? Do you have a strategy? Or even worse, you're kind of just winging it and not really, not really sure what you're doing, but you're putting your money in. Oh, this candle looks really strong. I'm going to go into this one here, right? Chances are no, right? You need to have a very, I guess you could say, a trustworthy strategy. And it does not have to be complicated, because I actually literally mastered the simplicity of it, where I have removed that stress and analysis paralysis and over studying my charts, because that is really, really hard. And what I do, I personally believe my magic is that I mastered that art of high probability trading, but with confidence and ease, and make it stress free. And now I want to introduce to you guys my simplifying day trading course. This course could be taken on any apparatus. You could be on a desktop, laptop, iPhone, Android, tablets. You could see it and do it from anywhere. So here's what you guys get in this course. First of all, we simplify the whole e-minis and the day trading system, right? We simplify the whole system all together. And because I know how complicated it could be with understanding the platforms, because it took me almost 5 months to figure out how to work my platform, and nobody was helping me. Nobody. It was so complicated, and it doesn't have to be like that. So I go through the whole tutorial with you guys right away and help you get past it, so that we can do the fun stuff, and that is get into the trading, the fun stuff of the trading. Then we really break down the language, and we really start to get into the implementation of the markets, of dissecting the markets, understanding the upward, the downward, and really focusing on that sideways trend, understanding those magic telltale signs, the reversals, the divergences, and the breakouts, right? Because the breakout is where it all happens. But when you understand divergences, when you can truly understand those reversal patterns, that's when magic really starts to happen. Then we go through the preparation for trading, because you cannot just sit and go, right? Again, a driver, they sit, they have a preparation routine, and we go through all of that. We are talking about trading to being in the moment, and also the back testing. Like I mentioned earlier, you need to have a back testing system. You need to understand what is happening, because if you're just winging it and you're not back testing and you're not looking at your probabilities, you're never going to know if you're doing it right. Okay. And then you will have live trading support when you go live, because when you're going live, it's a whole other ball game, right? That transition could be a little bit bumpy sometimes. So we will be working together through that and to understand how to maximize those profits while you are minimizing your risks. So all of that alone is worth $1,600, just that valued alone. So you also will get the lifetime curriculum. You'll get 30-minute setup tutorial. Boom, you are ready to go. Understand the market breakdowns, understand that step-by-step preparation and the going live system. Then on top of that, you will get the solid trading strategy and plan that you could totally trust and fully rely on during any market condition. That's the beauty of it, because you'll be able to understand any market condition. Just imagine yourself, right? Your language, you're speaking. Just because it could get, you have an argument doesn't mean that you're going to stop right there because you don't understand that language. You can have you can be conversing regardless of what the scenario is. It's the same thing that goes with the trading, right? You'll understand under any market condition. Now, another question I have for you, and this is probably the most important one of all. How do you know that you are doing it right? Right? For instance, we have these amazing master classes, we have summit, we have YouTube channels and YouTube videos, we have different books, podcasts, we have different, scenarios. But at the end of the day, when you are sitting in front of your chart, how do you know that you are doing it right? How do you know? Like, who is there to let you know that, wait, this is not, this maybe it should be looked at the other way? Who is there to support you and be able to explain to you that you are doing it right or wrong? This was one of my students, and he was saying, or she, I can't remember at this point, was saying that this is a triple top. But the reality is that we're looking at a downward trend. We don't care about triple tops here. We are looking for the triple bottoms because that is what's going to tell us if it's reversing and going in the opposite direction. This particular student, they marked off this humongous area, but because the area is too big and they don't know that they missed out on a lot of really good, significant trades. But how do you know you're doing it right? So here's what some of my students from all over the world, like I mentioned, trading you could do from all over the world, have said. Here's John from Norway. He said, I can't even explain how important and how many aha moments I've had with Marina's easy to follow modules and mainly her full support. Chad from the States, after talking to Marina, I knew our trading styles were similar, but something was missing from mine. I started to apply it and I learned from her to help me keep out of the chop. And now my win percentage is increasing. I wish I could have found her in 2016. And Dawn, also, Marina truly helps her students learn trading skills to ensure that confidence and teaches proper trading habits. I wish I had found her sooner. So let me share something really important with you guys. What you're going to be getting in this package is first bonus. Like I mentioned, you guys are going to get some seriously amazing bonuses. You're going to get one-on-one 6 months mentorship, unlimited mentorship and coaching with me. This alone is valued at least $1,700, although I think it's quite priceless. For 6 months, we will be working together because having that mentor will take you to that next level. Okay, so let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. We are also going to be getting, you are going to be getting 10 trade setups that are going to be customized for you that we can work under any market condition. And that is key. We're going to be practicing that together for you. This is all in simulation until you are ready, and I will be watching you and helping you. And when you are ready, we will go live together as well. Wait, there will be 10 trade setups. I know for a fact that majority of people who are selling anything, they sell each setup one at a time. Everything is completely included for you guys. For now, the value of this is over $6,000. And the best for last, this is for Brian. Brian, please tell everybody what you are offering because this is absolutely incredible what you are offering.
Well, thank you, Marina. Yeah, the Trading System Mastery Program, essentially, it's how you take a strategy and build a good system on it. And I developed this after working with a lot of people over an 18-month period, and everybody was struggling because they had what they felt were decent strategies, but they were just having a hard time with hesitation and chasing trades. They just couldn't stick to it or whatever. And what I found in talking with them was, yeah, they had a decent strategy, but their system was really not good. So one big lesson that came out of all that, and I really try to stress it to everybody, is a strategy does not equal a system. Your strategy is how you plan to get in and out of the markets and make money. Your system is how you're going to execute that good strategy 100 or 500 or 1,000 times consistently. And that's what Trading System Mastery teaches you, is how to take any strategy that you want to use, like the ones that you offer in your training, and really dial in a good system so that it's super easy to execute over and over and over again, because yeah, they are a good strategy for getting in and out of the markets. And it really all starts with consistency. And again, that's where my quality background comes into play, because what I learned when I got into quality, actually, I was working in manufacturing for a long time, a lot of years, and wound up in quality assurance. And what I loved about it was like the biggest business lesson I ever learned, is that, yeah, businesses around the world, they fight the same problem that traders do. And that is making money and doing it consistently. And that's what quality assurance solves. And when I applied quality assurance to my trading, I went from being just terrible trading, hit or miss, giving it back on a regular basis and all that kind of stuff. I was able to settle down and really get it dialed in, just like in the manufacturing, where, yeah, now I've got a process that's very repeatable. It's very comfortable to trade. And the emotional ride just went away, and my results just went through the roof, because now I had a good, consistent process. And that's like the big thing that I really learned is, if you focus on consistency first, profit gets easy. But if you're just chasing profit all the time, like, I ran across this great strategy, and it's going to make me a lot of money, and you chase profit and then say, all right, I want to have a good strategy and I'll figure out how to get consistent later. That's the hard way to do it. If you start with consistency and you get consistent, getting profitable is easy, because it's easy to adjust a consistent process to make it more profitable. And that's exactly what we do in this course. The first module is, yeah, how you learn how to define and document your trading process so that it is very easily repeatable and it delivers predictable results, very consistent output. The second part is where you learn the proper testing, because that's another one where traders get all bunged up. And again, from my quality background, understanding sampling, how to test things properly so that you're not curve fitting, but also really, yeah, just know how to test it so that the test results you get are actually representative in what you can expect moving forward. I'm sure you've heard it too. A lot of times traders, they say, well, I back tested the strategy, but when I go trade live with it, the results are, they're not even close. And so that's because they didn't understand the testing process. And that's what I teach. Second is how to really build, establish good, solid confidence through proper testing and everything. And then the third part is, yeah, maximizing profitability and further building that confidence with your system, so that when you come out of it, yeah, you've got a strategy that you're solid with, you're solid with, and the emotional ride, like I said, it's gone. Where trading becomes no more of an emotional ride than any other job, because now, yeah, you've got a really solid handle on what you're doing, and that you've got your, the skills built with it, where you're solid trading the system as well. I mean, because a lot of people will say, yeah, I got a good strategy, but I got doubts in myself to be able to stick to it. So we attend to both of them here. And that's really what this course is all about. And it's proven out really well. And the nice thing about it is it doesn't take that long to learn. I mean, you can get through it in a couple of weeks. Then we also got a couple of bonuses to go with it. The Trading Performance Analyzer, very cool here. You got the Trading System Profit Potential Calculator. So that anytime you're testing a new strategy or whatever, you can know what to expect from it to the dollar to deliver on a monthly basis. And you can also track your trading and on a monthly and continuous basis, and also have a year-to-date tracker, see how your trading is performing over the year. The next bonus is to help you out, as far as some of the stuff that happens to us, when we get into trading in those first weeks or months or sometimes even years. It would take a lot of emotional, psychological damage, and it can be really tough to, work past that. And so the Trader's Guide to Emotional Management really helps you understand what's going on with you mentally and emotionally, and how to work through it and get a handle on it. So that, yeah, now if you are still fighting some, emotional issues from your previous trading experience. Now you know how to deal with that as well. So yeah, that's the program and the bonuses, and really goes well with what you're offering. And that's why we're here today together, because it's like, yeah, between the two of us, we're really offering a really holistic and complete solution for everybody.
Yes, and the total value for both of these programs, guys, the Simplifying Day Trading course with the Trading Systems Mastery, the value of this is $10,800. Now, imagine if both of these programs finally allowed you to earn that $50,000 to $100,000 extra per year trading, and it will be totally and completely worth it. If your course and Brian's program can shorten your time to get you to a trading goal by half the time, to avoid that pain, to avoid that frustration, and to stop with this wasted energy, wouldn't that be worth that one payment of the 10,800? Look, here's the deal. I could have made this program super cheap, but my investment in my students, the time I spend with each student during their mentorship and coaching, I cannot afford to have a ton of students. And I simply will not be able to focus all of my attention on them as well, because I really, really want you guys to succeed. And the reality is, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys, but so many traders fail. Do you really want to be that other statistic? No, chances are you don't want to be that other statistic, because you would not be here if you did, right? Because otherwise you'd just be out there donating your money to the market. And with this course and Brian's system, you will not be another statistic. If you are a successful trader right now that financially and fully supports you and your family, plus you'll get to do what you love for that short period of time and be anywhere in the world, what would that be worth to you? How much would you invest now to live your life doing what you love and not waste any more time with inconsistencies, doubt, and donating that money to that market? Because that's a biggie, guys. And to actually have the time for yourself and your family and not be worried about the money. So you could see why people would pay $10,800 for these results, because it's not a cost, it's an investment. And today, because we understand your time, how valuable, and the fact that you have guys stuck with us, and we are so, so deeply appreciative, we have a very special price for you guys only. For $697, it includes everything. One time, $697, you could go right here, simplifyingfutures.com, simplifyingfutures.com. You could go there right now, and you'll be able to follow along with us right now to see exactly what everything is offered. Go to simplifyingfutures.com. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, because of my coaching system, I am only able to take on 25 students. And there is a lot of people in the room, and I know that 25 people will go and get this really fast, because $697 is a steal for everything that we are offering. And on top of that, 6 months of one-on-one working with me. One-on-one, 6 months, guys. It's going to go really fast. Okay, so join us today. Go to simplifyingfutures.com. So let me break it down again, everything that you will be getting. Lifetime curriculum access, the full platform setup, so you guys do not have to worry about the platform setup, because I know that could be a real tough thing sometimes. Breaking down all the language, the implementation, the step-by-step mindfulness, the preparation for trading, and the live trading support, the solid trading system, and the plan. You will have a system that you could go to regardless of the market condition. And you'll get the one-on-one with me, mentoring, coaching for 6 entire months. During those 6 months, it's more than enough time for you to be able to go live and be profitable. All right. The 10 trade setups. 10 trade setups that are customized, that you will understand under any market condition. We work together through them, so you really get it. So it's not just the guess. You really, really deeply have that strategy. Like I said, all that is worth $6,000. And on top of that, you get the Trading System Mastery course that Brian has made to give you that strategy, to give you those systems to work with the strategy, because consistency is everything. And if you don't know how to be consistent, or don't have that consistency, it could really be tough. And that's what Brian really focuses on. And the performance trading, you're analyzing your performance taking that and the emotional management, guys, because trading is emotional and it is a way to get around that emotional way for you to be able to truly be in the moment and to go for it. Like I mentioned earlier, the value of these courses are $10,800. And I have that extra bonus. We have for $697, only limited to 25 students. Okay, you could go right here, right now. So let me put in to right here. Hang on a second. So again, go into simplifying day trading, simplifying futures. Sorry, simplifying futures right here, simplifying futures, and go here. Right now, you can press. You'll see right now on your screen, it says click here. Do you guys see the click here? So go there right now and you'll be able to see the form. All right, so go and press on click here. I'm going to just share something with you guys. 1 second here. All right, let me just share this with you. Okay, so if you go to simplifyingfutures.com right here, simplifyingfutures.com, this is the order form that you will be given, right? So you could do the $697 one time payment, or if you want to do a monthly payment plan, we have for $275, but you immediately get access to absolutely everything. Okay, so right here, go here, 697 one time. Honestly, guys, this is gonna go super, super quick. All right. Again, 697 for all of that we are offering. Simplifyingfutures.com. Hang on just 1 second here. Let me share this with you. Okay, so you can go right here, just click on here, and it'll take you directly to the order form. Super easy. You'll get access automatically. Now, this is a chance for you guys to ask us any questions or anything at all that came up. I see Noon, you said that you also speak Russian. Very cool. I don't know. Are you from Russia originally or you just learned Russian? And actually, Brian is in the process of learning Russian as well. So there you go. Very cool. Let me know if you guys have any questions at all. And we are just so grateful that you guys took this time to be with us. Like, it really, really, really means a lot from us. Oh, you're from the former USSR Armenia. Right. So you also speak Armenian, I suppose, as well, right? Although I was born in Odessa in the Ukraine and I don't speak Ukrainian at all because I left before Ukrainian became the national language, obviously before the Soviet bloc was, you know, ununified or dismembered, I guess you could say. All right, guys, please let us know if you have any questions. Brian, I don't know if you want to add anything else. Just thank you so much for being here with us. It's been a true, true honor.
Yes, indeed. Well, one thing that you touched on early on that I would love to stress to everybody, just because I know, like for me, when I first started trading, most trade. Well, one thing I've found is that most traders are above average intelligence, and in general. I mean, otherwise, you wouldn't be in a position to trade. And so one thing I found interesting is in working with everybody, and my personal experience is a lot of people that get into trading. We're smarter than average. We're good at figuring things out. We've been able to tackle a variety of things in our lives. So we look at trading, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. And yeah, we jump into it. And so many people, though, they'll start trading at kind of an intermediate level. They skip steps and they never get a good solid foundation. And it's the basic skills. I mean, there's one thing to have understanding, but the trading is a skill-based occupation. And if you're not, given the skills for this job, it's rough. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned is like my first year, it's like, yeah, I'm a fairly smart guy. I'm an engineer. I've been able to figure out a whole lot of things in my life. that was like one of my strengths where I worked was figuring stuff out. They would just bounce me around, whatever the biggest fire was. It's like, throw Brian in there, get your arms around it, throw him in the next fire. And so, yeah, trading's kind of the same thing. And I got my butt kicked because it required a different skill set that I just plain had never experienced before, even from any of my previous work. And so I'm trying to do a job that I don't know how to do, and I'm trying to train myself, and I don't know what I'm doing. So how can I train myself? And it was only when I was able to turn to, another field outside of trading and apply that that was the big help that I needed. But just sitting there beating my head on the rock, looking at the charts every day and trying to figure it out. It's like, no, it's not. This is not an occupation that lends itself to being figured out. You really need some help from outside of trading to really make it work. Or the day-to-day trading. And for me, I had to go clear outside of trading to find it. But if you're trying to figure it out on your own, it's going to take you probably 5 to 10 years just figuring it out on your own. If you get help from people like Marina or myself, where we've been able to get it, we've been through where you are, and we've been able to figure it out. We got the help we needed to figure it out. That's really where you can accelerate your learning, and you can get skilled up, and your understanding jumps. And that's where you can really shorten your timeline from going to where you are now to, trading comfortably and in a knowing manner. I mean, that's the main thing, is trading with that confidence that, you know what you're doing. You're solid. You're not going to the market, hoping the markets will grace you with profits today. You're going to the markets every day knowing that you're okay, regardless of what the markets do. And that really is a totally different experience. And that's when you can relax and trading starts to get fun again. And it's not just an excitement kind of fun. It's hey, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm feeling good about it because I know what I'm doing, and I'm benefiting from it. And I'm also able to do good things with it, like take good care of my family or enjoy a good retirement and that kind of stuff. So, but it's getting that foundation that really matters. If you skip the foundation, trading can be rough indefinitely. So, I just want to throw that in there because it is a big deal that you learn what you need to learn to make this work.
And the best part is cutting those years. I mean, I spent so many years, oh my God, so many years under bad, it was terrible, losing money, being stressed. You don't need to do that. Like, you could literally just get past it and have real people helping you. So again, guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Kevin, I see that you're in. I'm so excited that you guys are buying. I know that I've been hearing a few more dings. So I see that quite a few people are already buying. Like I said, there's only space for 25 people because I really need to give my all. So hop on, guys, because this is, me and Brian, I think this is only the second time we've ever done this together. I don't know if we're going to have another one. I personally recommend just going for it. Let's do it. And I'm excited for you guys to join us. So let's do it. Let us know if you have any other questions. You could always email us personally as well. And we will be sending out this replay. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And if there's no other questions, I think we're good, right? Let me see. Do you see the questions, Brian?
I've got the chat. Yes, is we're going to have a presentation by Brian. Okay. Well, if any of you have questions for me, InsideOutTrading.com is my site where you can come in, and if you have questions there, you can get hold of me. If you want to just send an email to Brian@InsideOutTrading.com. If you have some further questions about the program, or whatever else you got going on with your trading, I'll be more than happy to help you out. I know with Marina, one of the reasons I like doing this with her, and the reason we're here together today, is because, as far as helping you with understanding the basics of trading, and looking at the charts, being able to make sense of it, having the strategies to work with. I don't really focus on any specific strategy myself. I help people work with whatever strategies you want to use. And if you're sitting there with nothing right now that you're comfortable with, that's why this is really a good situation for you to be here today, because Marina has the strategies that she'll teach you. I can help you really hone them and refine them into good systems. But again, my area of expertise is in the consistency. I don't focus on specific strategies or methods. So again, if you have questions, about the program, Brian at InsideOutTrading.com. As far as this offer today, this really is seriously, this is a killer deal. It's $697. I know I've spent well over 10 times that on my trading education, and I went through way more than that in losses before I started getting help. So yeah, $697. That's like less than an average day, just in and out of the market. So definitely worth your time. And the thing is, it's an investment in yourself. The nice thing about it is, when you do stuff like this, you're skilling yourself up, and it's not just a thing you're buying where it has its own value, but you're not any different. You're going to come out of this different, and you're going to be a different trader, more capable, more confident, and more able to go to the markets and actually deal with the markets again in that knowing manner where you're solid and it, and you're very comfortable about it. It's not living with that anxiety and that stress. So the markets, am I going to lose money again today? Am I going to make money this month or lose money? It's like, no, you have a whole different experience because now you're a different trader, and that's really what's cool. So anyway, long answer to the question.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody. And again, have a great rest of your week. Thank you for spending this time with us. And we'll see you inside the course. Bye, everybody.
Very good. Glad you're here today, guys.
Thanks, everybody. See you in the course.